Hey, it's Matt here with more freelancing answers and advice. Today's question comes from another Matt. And Matt writes to us and says, obviously online there is an intimidating amount of competition, not just with designers and their own websites, but with job bidding sites, things like logo tournaments and so on. So the question and challenge for me is, how do I stand out and differentiate myself? Well, that's a great question, and Matt really hit it on the head when he said that online things can be really intimidating. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with finding work online and even using job board sites, but sometimes it can be intimidating, and sometimes it can feel like you're competing against everybody. So my first and most important advice is to narrow the playing field. You don't necessarily want to be where absolutely everybody else is. And that's why when I teach my students in my freelancing course, Freelance Start, one of the first things that we do is we forget about the online world. We come back to it later, but we focus more locally, literally and metaphorically. We focus on our connections. Who do we already know? What kind of connections can we create with other people? Who is 1 or 2 degrees of separation from us so that we can get in touch with them and have a discussion? And if possible, we want them to literally be local as well, meaning that we can actually go and have a cup of coffee with them and discuss their needs and what they're struggling with in their business. You don't have to find clients locally to be successful, but I'm not going to lie, it helps. The reality is, even though those job posting sites look so intimidating, most people do not use them, especially when their projects are very important to them. Most companies will search locally, or they'll search within their own network, because ideally we want someone that we feel we can trust. As human beings, we basically operate on trust. When you decide who to seek out for a new dentist, chances are you ask your friends who's good, who doesn't make your teeth hurt. And if you can't find anyone good that way, what's the next thing you probably do? You look online locally for reviews and you see who else in your community has really liked that dentist, and hopefully not too many people have disliked them. So ultimately it's all about creating trust by seeing what other people can vouch for this person. So focus less on what's going on online and on the job posting sites and so on, and focus more on what's going on within your own community. Focus more on your existing connections. See who can introduce you to people that need work done. Even call up businesses or literally walk into businesses and talk to them. I've done the latter, and I walked out with a check right on the spot once for a down payment for a website. It was crazy. There's a lot that can be gained from being human. And that's where you have a gigantic advantage over most people in the world, because most people are not in your local community, or they're not in your own network, meaning that for them, usually for halfway across the world, to convince someone else that they should do the work for them, it's actually much harder for them. And they get paid less for their troubles. So forget about that stuff. Use your network. Use your local community, and then if you choose to move online, instead of focusing on job posting sites, focus on online communities and join those communities. Become part of those communities. Freely give advice and help, and become known as the person that's an expert in that particular space, and then people will come to you with work and with things that they need done. So ultimately, it's a relationship business. It's a trust-based business. Focus on those tenets and you'll be successful, and you don't need to worry about what 99.9% of the world is doing.